A Newfoundlander walks into the doctor's office.
Okay.
The doctor says, I want to be thoroughly examined. He says, I got an awful problem. Doctor says, did you pass anything? Newfoundlander says, no. Well, man, think of it. He said, I passed a red van on the way in here. Doctor said, no. He said, do you have diarrhea? He said, no, I'm Catholic. He said, you idiot, did you shit? Newfoundlander says, no, boy, did you? Newfoundlander's on an island for about 23 years all by himself. Never seen another living soul. So this day a lifeboat came ashore. Beautiful young girl, 18 years old in it. So she come up and she started talking. She'd been down on this island for 25 years by herself. Have you ever seen another human being? Newfoundlander said, no, I live all by myself. He said, how'd you survive? Well, he said, I ate berries and I killed small animals and I dug a lot of clams. Really like them clams. Dug a lot of clams. She said, did you ever have sex before? He said, sex? Never heard of it. So she took him down to the back of the shack and really gave him a going over. Gee, she gave him a going over. He had a great time. So after it was all finished, he said, how'd you like that? Newfoundland said, not bad, he said, but look what it did to my clam digger.
You know the difference between a Scotsman and a canoe?
Huh.
A canoe will tip. You know the difference between a Scotsman and a bucket of water? You can get a drink out of a bucket of water. So you hear about the Scotsman that went down to London, he came back home up to Scotland after a week. And the fellow says, how was your trip, McGregor? Oh, so it wasn't bad. He says, but the hotel accommodations weren't all that great. He says it was noisy as hell. He says they were banging on the goddamn windows, they were banging on the floors, on the ceilings. He says, I couldn't stand it, I got to complain. He says, well, I don't blame you. He says, you know, sometimes they were banging so loud, he says, I could barely hear my bagpipes.
That's like the one, little old lady walks in the hardware store to buy some hinges for her door. So she said, excuse me, sir, she said, I'd like to buy some hinges. She said, no problem. She brought it to 12 and she just gave them to her and put them in the bag. As the lady was leaving, he said, excuse me, darling. He said, would you like some screws for your hinges? She said, no, but I'll blow you for the toaster.
You heard one about the cowboy riding through the desert, pulls into this little town, dismounts his horse, gets off his horse and walks around to the back of it, lifts up the horse's tail and plants his lips firmly in, walks into the saloon. Everybody in the saloon sitting on the front couldn't believe it. Guy goes into the bar and he says, give me a whiskey. Bartender says, you know, fella, he says, I've been here for 25 years. He says, I've never ever seen anybody ever do that before in my life. Get off a horse and go around and kiss it. He says, why did you do that? Fellow says, chapped lips. Chapped lips? Does that cure chapped lips? No, it don't cure it, but by Jesus stops you from licking them.
You heard the one about the two gay guys walking on the street and you see the dog on the sidewalk licking his nuts. And the gay guy says, the other gay guy says, wouldn't you like to be able to do that? And the other gay guy says, yes, but I'm scared the dog will bite me. There's this girl up in Toronto. She's a hooker. She's having a great time. Every time the fella goes to bed and lays her, guy gets up, pulls up his pants, he's going to the door. The girl always say, what are we going to call the baby? Fella say, what baby? She said, well, I'm pregnant. I'm going to sue you. Tell your wife. But she'd pick up $500, $1,000 on the side. So, little Newfoundlander came in one time, paid his $50, had it off with her, he's going at the door. She said, what are we going to call the baby? Newfoundlander turned around, took his pants down, took the French safe out, tied a knot in it, threw it out the window and said, if he gets out of that, we'll call him Houdini. Newfoundlander got a job in the Foreign Legion. Walks over to the sergeant. Sergeant, what do you do for women around here? Been around here for a month, I haven't seen a woman. Sergeant said, no women around here. There's not a woman for 1,000 miles. So Newfoundlander said, geez, he said, I've been here for a month. He said, I'm getting horny. Sergeant said, I tell you what, once every 5 weeks we bring the Camels in. Newfoundlander said, Camels? I have nothing to do with no fucking camel. 5 weeks went by, Newfoundlander's up on the wall waiting for the Camels. You can see them coming across the desert, 300 Camels, and they'd run, just going at it. Came round them all up the big corral. Sergeant ran out, Camels are here! 100 guys by the tents beating the shit at each other. Newfie ran over to the sergeant. Sergeant, excuse me, sir. He said, just 300 Camels and 100 guys. What are they fighting about? Sergeant says, you don't want to get an ugly one, do you? I got the crabs from the new girl in school, and little bastards are eating my tool. La la la, they run, they run, they run, they run, they do run, they run, they run, they run, they do run, they run, they do run. I got the crabs too.
Did you hear about the two old English fellas who are sitting on the porch, rocking away in their old chairs? I say, Schmidty, have you ever heard from Chumley lately? Yes, actually, Chumley's living in a tree in India with a baboon. My God, man, tell me it's not true. Not Chumley. Yes, I'm afraid so. Male or female? Female, of course, nothing wrong with Chumley.
That's like the Cape Breton walking in the barber's office. He said, listen, boy, he said, I want my hair cut. You know, take your razor, he said, and cut her bare, right up here above the ear. Cut the sideburn right off. He said, take this sideburn here, he said, and cut it on a slant. And take a big chunk of the hair out of here, and a big chunk of hair out of there. Barber says, geez, what do you want me to cut your hair like that for? He says, that's the way you cut it the last time I was in here. The first tea bag story. My father first came up from Newfoundland. They were fishing off the Grand Banks for about 4 months. They were back into Stephenville. Walking to the restaurant. This is a great tea bag story. Walking to the restaurant, I ordered up bread and molasses and 2 pots of tea. So up come the tea. My father never seen a tea bag before. String hanging out of the side and a little tag on her. Picked up the tea, turned it up, just water come out. So he called a girl and he said, excuse me dear, he said, I can't drink this tea, it's too weak. She said, squeeze your bag. He said, kiss me arse. I was like the Newfoundlander left home. Him and his wife were on their 20th honeymoon, never been away from home before. So they drove all across Newfoundland. They got up on the mainland, they drove by this farmer's place, and the sign said, cow for sale, $5,000. They drove by the farm and shook the Newfoundlander up. So we started upon Martha. He said, we've been in Newfoundland for all these years and I never seen no cow worth $5,000. Must be a mistake. I got to go back and check it out. Wheeled her around, come back, pulled in the guy's yard, got out of the car and walked down and said, excuse me, sir, he said, I'm up from Newfoundland, he said. And you got a sign up front that says $5,000 cow. He said, there's no cow worth $5,000. Fella said, this one is. Come with me. So I walked down the barn, and there's this beautiful cow standing there, big brown eyes. He walked around, and he lifted up the cow's tail, and there it was, just a cunt, just like a woman. Geez, Newfoundland boy, I never saw nothing like that in my life, he said. Wait till I tell Martha what was going. Out the grad, got the car, and he's driving down the road, saying, it's just not fair. It's just not fair. She said, darling, what's not fair? He said, well, there's a man with a cow with a cunt like a woman worth $5,000, and here you are with a cunt like a cow not worth a nickel. There's a story about the fella who was at this big party. The guy was very extravagant. He had millions and millions of dollars. And what he used to do, he invited all his friends over, and he had a big 65-foot swimming pool, Olympic-sized swimming pool, and he used to sit at one end of it in the lifeguard chair with bags of money all around him and jewels and stuff like this. And what he used to do, he'd fire stuff out in the swimming pool. And if people had the nerve enough to jump in and get it, they could have it. But there was one thing wrong. The pool was full of alligators. So he's sitting up there on the stage, he's really drunk, he's smoking, he's all token up, he's going to have a bit of fun with these people. So he said, the first person, he said, that'll swim across the swimming pool will get this brand new Rolls Royce car. Nothing. He said, all right. The first person that jumps and swims across the swimming pool will get this Rolls Royce car and $500,000. Nothing. He said, all right, he said, whoever swim across this swimming pool will get this brand new Rolls Royce, $500,000, and as many women as he can lay into a week. Blast this fucking guy's in the water. The fucking gators are all over him. They're eating them. He's scrambling, got across the other side of the fucking pool. There was hardly anything left of him. All his clothes torn off his back. The guy who had the contest going came running down. He said, "That was fantastic." He said, "I've never seen nothing like that in my life. I gotta tell you that right now." He said, "That was something." He said, "Do you want your car now or later?" The guy said, "I don't want your fucking car." He said, "What do you want the $500,000? Cash or a check?" He said, "I don't want that fucking money." He said, "You want the women now or you want them tonight?" He says, "I want the cunt to push me in." Three Newfoundlanders and 3 Cape Bretons went down to apply for a job for the telephone company. They were all looking for work. So the guy said, "Well, what type of work do you do?" We said, "Well, that's common laborers." He said, "That's okay." He says, "We want some people who work in the power lines." So the 2 Cape Bretons came out and the 3 Newfoundlanders came out. Sergeant said, "There's those poles," he said. "The holes are marked. Plant them poles." So the Cape Bretons and the Newfoundlanders go up there and they're going at it all day long, digging and plowing. Finally, 4 o'clock came, they all come back in. Sergeant said, "How'd you do, Cape Bretons? How many poles you plant?" Cape Bretons said, "15, sir." "Marvelous," and marvelous. Newfoundlanders came in, geez, they looked terrible, all beat up and worked like savages, eh? Said, "You Newfoundlanders, how many poles you plant today?" Newfoundlanders said, "3 by." Guy says, "3 by? So how come you guys got 3 by and those guys got 15? Newfoundlander turned around, looked out the window and said, "Yes, but look how much they leave sticking out of the ground."
Laughing's hard on you.
Newfoundland had been training for the Olympic Games for 10 years. His trainer trained him, ran 25 miles a day for 10 years. Finally, the day Olympic Games came, Newfoundlander ended up down there. Geez, he was in great physical condition. First fella he beat was a Scotchman. Beat him first round. Up come the Poles, beat them second round. Germans beat them. The Italians, he beat them. The last guy he was going to fight was this great big hairy Russian, 300-pounder. Now the coach said, "Boy, I've been training you for 10 years. He said, "You can't let me down." He said, "This is the day of reckoning. Don't let this man, I studied him, I watched him in the last Olympic Games. If he gets you in the step over the back toe hold, you're finished." Newfoundland said, "Don't worry, boy. I'll get him. Don't you worry, boy." So, bell rings. First round, geez, you're in there. Newfoundlander holds his own. Second round, Jesus, Newfoundlander's doing great. Holds his own. Third round, big hairy Russian had him down, tied up in knots, arms up, back up. Coach threw the fucking towel on the ground and stomped off into the dressing room. Cursing, swearing, stupid fucking Newfoundlander. 10 years of my life shot that dumb bastard. He's in there, here's a big scream from the audience. Comes running back out, he got the Newfoundlander's hand up in the air, wanting to fight. Geez, the coach came run up, he said, "Jesus, how'd you do it? How'd you do it?" He said, "You had to step over the back toe hole." Newfoundlander said, "Boy, he had him all tied up in knots," he said. "All tied up in knots. Twist it right around, sir." I looked up and I saw these 2 great big balls hanging there. So I just bit right down into them as hard as I could. He said, "You wouldn't believe the strength you get when you bite your own nuts." Can you be an 18-wheeler?
What, you mean the noise?
Yeah. Newfoundlanders driving down the road. Big 18-wheeler just are humming. You can imagine this in your eyes. You got big, all the big tailpipes on it and everything. The tailpipes, the big pipes, the whole works. He's driving along and now he's following them. Beautiful, beautiful truck. And he's having a great time. And all of a sudden, he sees the sign, "Scale." Fuck, Newfoundlanders, fuck. Pulls over the side of the road, inside of the fucking truck. Takes a baseball bat, goes all around the truck. Jumps back in the truck, takes off down the road again. Cops watching him all this time, driving down. Couldn't fix it. He's a peculiar carriage, started following him. Another 6 or 7 miles down the road, scale. Newfoundlander says, "Fuck." Jumps out of the truck again, gets the fucking baseball, goes right around the truck. Jumps back in the truck, takes off again. This happened 4 or 5 more times. Finally, the Mountie had to pull him over. He said, "Listen, buddy, I've been following you for the last 35 miles. He said, "You go so far, get out of the truck, take the baseball bat on the side of the truck. What the fuck's going on?" Newfoundlander said, "Boy," he says, "like this," he said. "I got a whole truckload of canaries." He says, "I'm 5,000 pounds overweight, and I gotta keep them flying," he said. Apparently Prime Minister Trudeau was up in Ottawa last week. And they were up in a hotel room smoking marijuana. No. Marijuana! No. The Prime Minister of Canada was smoking marijuana. No. Yes, true story. They got a call from the front desk saying the narcotics agents are on the way up. Hide the dope. Somebody threw a blanket over Trudeau. Fella comes riding into town in a big black suit. Days of the old west, eh? Pearl handle guns, jumps off his horse, comes walking into the saloon. So by the bartender, he says, I'm the fastest gun and the best shot the West ever saw. Watch this. Whips up one of his pearl handle guns, fires over his right shoulder, shuts the cuffling right off the piano player. Bartender said, that's nothing. I've seen that before. Watch this, he said. Takes out his other pearl handle gun, fires between his legs, shoots the other cuffling off the piano player. Bartender, I've seen that before. He said, no, wait a minute. He took the mirror down off the wall, give it to the bartender. He says, you watch this. Bang, bang, shot the two feathers off the piano player's hat. There was a guy here last week that did that. Guy got fucking mad. He pulled out his gun. He said, look at these guns. He said, I'm the best gun in the West. I paid $500 a piece for them. They're perfectly balanced. The guy says, I don't care, buddy. I don't care. You know, I'm just going to tell you one thing, what you better do with these guns. The guy says, what? And he said, well, I'll take a file, he said, and that little sharp piece right there, I'd file that right down to the barrel, right down smooth. And that little place along the handle, I'd file that, he said. It might take you 2 or 3 hours, but I'd file that right down as smooth as you could. Do that to both guns and then take them home, dump them in a big pot of grease. Fuck the cowboy looked out at his look on his face and said, what would I want to do that for? He said, that fella playing the piano was Wyatt Earp, and when he finished playing, he's going to go over and stick him right up your arse. Bunch of drunk come staggering into a restaurant. Drunk rid of his plaster drunk. Oh, the man's sinful drunk.
Is that real drunk?
That's drunker than you and I ever saw. He's drunk, so he went in and he said, girl come over and said, what do you want, Mac? He said, I like some bacon and a cheese omelet. He said, okay, sir. So he goes back and said to the old fellow here, geez, he's pissed right out of his head. But he wants bacon and a cheese omelet. The guy said, Jesus, the only cheese I got, he says, this cheese here. He said, Jesus, it was 6 months old. Oh, Jesus, smell it. She said, he's pissed. He wouldn't know the difference. Guy made up the cheese omelet, brought up, put it in front of the drunk. Drunk started eating it. Jesus, the stink. Oh, tears are running down his face, and he's eating this. Hey, eating it. Oh, almost barfing. The tears run down his face. Ate the whole works. Called the waitress over and excuse me, there, said. He said, you have a rooster for the hens that ate these eggs here? She said, no. He said, well, you better get one. There's a skunk fucking your chickens. I said, the fellow was down at the barn smoking marijuana and she was toking up and all works, eh? Started freaking me out. All the animals started talking to him. Fuck, he was really fucked up. He couldn't believe this. He was running all over the place. And Jesus, the animals are talking to me. Come running out. He said, Frank, he said, most people's going on the grass. The animals are talking to me. I said, you're crazy. He said, animals can't talk. He said, honest to God, he said, I was just sitting there and they're talking to me. He said, listen, if that little sheep says anything about me, it's a lie. First time I ever had sex, I was scared. I was real scared. I was by myself. I was having a great time, but my hand fell asleep, you know what I mean? I'm not feeling that good anyway. I woke up this morning, tried to button my shirt, the button fell off. Tried to pick up my suitcase, the handle fell off. I'm scared to go to the bathroom. That's as the fella was sitting in the barn. The guy said, you know, pain's a funny thing. People can withstand a lot of pain. So I said to this guy sitting beside him, what about you, Mac? You ever feel pain? Guy says, I only felt pain once in my life. I was out in the woods hunting, he said. Had to have a shit. Oh, I sat down. I sat on a goddamn bear trap. Bear trap came up, right across my bag. Guy said, Jesus, that must have hurt. No, he said. I jumped up. Guy said, Jesus, that must have been painful. No, he said. He said, I took off running, he said, and the first time I ever felt pain is when I came to the end of the chain. Fella phones up a whorehouse. He says, I want to get a girl for the night. Guy says, no problem, we get anything you want. Guy says, I want a girl 6'9", weigh 95 pounds. Guy says, 6'9", weigh 95 pounds. He says, that's an awful order, he said, to give to anybody. He said, I don't know, we get a girl like that. She's 6 o'clock came, opened the door, here's this girl standing there, 6'9", 95 pounds. He said, come on in, he said, follow me. Followed her into the kitchen, him in the kitchen. He said, take off all your clothes. She didn't know what he was up to, took off all her clothes. Get down on all fours. She does what she's told, she's getting her $100, gets down on all fours. The guy goes, then comes this great big Great Dane dog. He said to the dog, he said, now we see, if you don't eat your dog food, you're gonna look like that. my Uncle Bill's got 17 kids, his brother Fred doesn't have any. So we said, Fred, how come I got 17 kids and you haven't got any? Fred says, I use a safe period. He said, when's that? He said, when you're working. I'll forget the first time I ever made love. Mother came down and caught us.
What'd you say to you?
Awful sheepish, actually.
Is that your little boy Brian over there? No, it's Basil.
Felt like I'm home from work. His wife was always a flat chested, as flat as a board. She used to come home and this woman answered the door. She said, a size 44s. He said, darling, he said, what happened to you? He said, look at the breast on you. He said, honey, I don't know what it is. I was in the bedroom. I opened that door we never opened. There was a big mirror on the wall. I was looking at myself. I said, mirror, mirror on the door. Make my tits size 44. Jeez, they jumping like this. I can't believe it. Look at the size of them suckers. Fella goes sneaking in after a while. He looks in through the door. Opens the door and showed off the mirror there. He wasn't too well endowed. He looks in the mirror and he says, mirror, mirror on the door. Make my dick touch the floor. And his legs blew off. They're laying off Newfoundlanders on the oil rigs now. They keep throwing bread to the helicopters. Here, Bertie. Here, Bertie. First job I ever had was washing cats. Fucking hated it. Couldn't get the hair off my tongue. Newfoundlander goes into the store looking for a job as a handyman. The guy said, sure, we got the job opening. What do you do? He says, you a carpenter? He said, no. He said, you an electrician? He said, no. He says, you a plumber? He said, no. So what makes you so handy? Newfoundlander said, let's live around the corner, bye. Fellow walks up to the door, knocks on the door. He says, look at this new hearing aid I bought. Best hearing aid you could buy. Paid $5,000 for it. The guy says, what kind is it? He said, 3:30. Things are getting bad in the world. Nun walking down the street in San Francisco. There's two hippies ran up, picked her up by the arm, carried her across the street. The nun was quoted saying, God bless you, boys. I didn't think there's any chivalry left in the world today. Two hippies looked at each other and said, you don't give a fuck. Any friend of Batman's a friend of ours.
Did you hear about the nun that was walking home one night late? She was going through Central Park, and just then a guy grabbed her and pulled her into the bushes, raped her. Just after the fellow was pulling up his pants, he says, what are you going to tell the Mother Superior? She says, I'm going to tell her the truth. She says, I got yanked into the bushes and raped twice. Unless you're too tired.
That's like the two nuns trying to sneak back into the convent. They're climbing up the fucking rope trying to get back to the convent. One that said to the other one, I feel like a commando. She said, not now, we gotta get back inside.
Did you hear about the two girls that were visiting New York for the first time? It was really a hot day, but geez, it must have been 100 degrees. Could have boiled an egg on the street. Could have fried one too if you wanted to. It didn't matter. It was really hot. And they were walking along. She says, this heat is killing me. She says, do you think it would help if we took off our underwear? Just then they noticed this black woman sitting over on the porch with her dress hiked up, and they could see that she had no panties. She was sitting there eating a big piece of watermelon. They said, let's go over and ask her. They said, excuse me, we're from out of town, and we're just wondering, we noticed that you weren't wearing any underwear, and we were wondering if it was any cooler. The black woman looked at and said, well, I don't know if it's any cooler, but it sure keeps the flies off my watermelon.
You must have heard the one about Newfoundland got a job in the bakery. Newfoundland gets a job in the bakery, and the foreman come around to check on him. And Newfoundland got his false teeth sitting out on the bench. The foreman said, what are you doing in the bakery with your false teeth out on the bench? Newfoundland said, that's great, boy. When the pies come out, I take me teeth and I crimp them all around the edge. Just like that. Works real good. Foreman said, you idiot! Haven't you got a tool? Newfoundland said, yes, boy. But I use that for poking holes in donuts. The guy was going to buy the horse. Great stone joke. Guy's going to buy the horse, so he goes down. Gosh, this is some horse. Where do you see this horse? He said, there he is running across the meadow down there. You know? Here, boy, come on, boy. Come on, you wouldn't believe this horse, but this, you're getting some deal on this horse for $100. Here, boy. Horse, geez, he just went up in the air, came running across the field about 35 miles an hour. Bang! Right into the tree. Down it went in his knees. Jumped up again. Bang! Right into the fucking tree. Down he goes in his knees again. Gosh, so what are you trying to pull off, boy? Trying to sell me a blind horse? He says he's not blind, he just doesn't give a fuck. As I awoke this morning, when all sweet things are born, a robin perched up on my sill, a sign of coming morn. The bird was young and cheerful and gay, and so sweetly did it sing, that into my heart joys of laughter and love did spring. The bird sang for quite a while, and then stopped for a minute's lull, and I snuck up and pulled the window down and crushed his fucking skull.
It was the eve of the king's castration. All the viscounts, recounts, and discounts, and some poor bastards who couldn't even count at all were sitting in the back row. In walked the king wearing his diamond-studded jockstrap. Shit, said the king. Bastard, said Daniel. Throw that cocksucker to the lions, said the king. They threw Daniel to the lions, but he grabbed the lion by his tail and flung him inside out. Shit flew at random. Random ducked. It hit the princess. Fuck, said the princess. The duke, being quick act, grabbed her by the flabby folds of her ass and flung her over his prick. Where's the queen? Hollered the king. In bed with lumbago, said the jester. Get that cocksucker out of there, said the king. The king walked into the queen's bedroom. She was lying on her stomach. Roll over, said the king. Be fucked if I do, said the queen. Be cornholed if you don't, said the king. Shit, said the king. Since the king's word was law, 55,000 pairs of ironclad pants hit the dirt.
You come on like a louse, you give me the dose, your legs are like naughty pies. She's 42, but fuck it, he's mine, all mine, all mine. She's all pimples and sores, oh what a whore, her legs are like naughty pies. She's 42, but fuck it, she's mine, all mine, all mine. She's my baby, she's my pet, I threw up on the night that we met. She touched my prick, and I was a pop. Ooh, when we kissed, we couldn't stop. She gave me VD, it hurts when I pee. The doctor said I'll be fine. She's 42, but fuck it, she's mine, boy. She's 42, but fuck it, she's mine.